Hello, David here at merchantaccounts.ca. Today I'm tackling the topic, what do you do if your merchant account application is declined? Stay tuned, we'll dig in 1 second. So the first thing to do is to try and find out why it was declined. And we'll start by exploring the main reasons why merchant account applications are often declined. And it usually is centered more than anything around what do you sell? Do you sell a high-risk product or service? Now, of course, that probably requires me to describe what a high-risk product or service is. And I can't stand here and describe every business known to the planet Earth. So instead, think of what you're selling. Is it likely to get fraud? Is it a high-value item? I'll give an example. Do you sell bars of 24-karat gold? Bars of gold that you could take to a pawn shop and get cash for? Guess what? That's a high-risk product. If you sell casino gambling, if you sell... I don't even have to give more examples. You get it. If it's a high ticket or a high value item or something that's in demand or something that can be exchanged for cash or something that tends to get a lot of disputes, a weight loss program, stock tips, things that are going to be a dispute, you're a higher risk product or service and you'll have to take steps. Those companies can usually still get approved, but you have to have a legitimate service and you have to have the proof to show that you have a good and stable business. Now, how do you prove that it's a good or a stable business? Well, is the company in good financial shape? How long has the company been in business for? If it's a rock solid company with money in the bank that's been around forever, even if you're selling something pretty high risk, look, if Caesar's Palace wanted to get a merchant account for online gambling, that's a household name. Everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, Caesar's Palace, that's pretty cool. Joe's Online Casino, .net or whatever, that's going to be harder to get approval for. So that plays a role in it. Let's move on to the next point. How high are your trading volumes? So a company that processes, this should be obvious, if a company processes $10 million per month in sales, there is more risk there than a company processing, say, $1,000 a month in sales. So especially in relation to how new your business is. If a company does $10 million a month in sales, but it's Netflix, nobody's surprised. But if it's a brand new business that's just all of a sudden pumping volume and especially where it doesn't make sense, sometimes businesses can be a victim of their own success by growing too quickly, and that's where the volumes ramp up to a point where the payment processor's like, hey, whoa, hold on, we're a little concerned here. Where are these customers coming from? How are you doing all this? And sometimes, if it's a brand new business owner, they might react and be like, hey, none of your business, what's your problem? You're making money from me. You should be happy for this business, which the processor is happy to earn money from a merchant, but they are not happy where they're exposed to risk. And any established business owner that has run other businesses, and I've been working in this industry so long, I've had lots of very successful clients with other successful businesses that launch brand new corporations, a new idea, a new project, but they know how to market that business and they know how to grow it. And so that's where we work together with the risk folks, where it's like, this is our plan. We're going to, and usually a lot of the time we'll say, hey, for the first month, can you throttle your marketing a little bit, month or two, so we establish the curve on your chargebacks, we get your processes in place. A good processor, and at merchantaccounts.ca, little plug for us, we do think we're a good processor. My point is, we want to work with you. Tell us your story and what's going on. And if you got declined for your merchant account, maybe you didn't have the type of relationship where you were able to talk to people and give them a really good understanding of your business in the application phase. And that very typically does happen, especially at bigger payment processors where it's just a very simple application form. It's like a PDF file or an online form. And what can you really get across there other than your domain name, your number of employees, and your trading volume? That is really a problem when it comes to getting declined. Which takes me to another thing. Did you do a cover letter? I have other content on the channel and our website, but you should probably, especially if you think you might be higher risk, always write a cover letter for your business describing who you are, how you launched this business, how long you've done it for, who your customers are. I'm not going to get into the whole cover letter thing in this video, but write a cover letter if you think that you are in any way a high-risk business. Now, there's other things that can impact it as well. Are you drop shipping? If you're drop shipping, that's higher risk. The processor will want to know that you have controls in place to make sure the customers are going to receive what they paid for, and that you specifically aren't taking payment for items that are out of stock, because that, again, that can cause shipment delays, complaints, and chargebacks. There's other things that get looked at too. What's your credit score? Hey, listen, some payment processors put a lot of weight in the credit score. Some payment processors don't really care about the credit score. That's more of a credit and risk decision at the payment processor. But they always have to do a credit check to make sure that the customer is who they say they are. It's a know your customer and anti-money laundering compliance check that the payment processor must do. And since they are doing the credit check, if a merchant's credit score is terrible or if they have a recent bankruptcy, that can impact an application negatively. Similarly, because they're looking at your credit score, they can see, when you do a credit check, you can see who's done it. So if they see 10 or 5 or 10 pings at other payment processors having done a credit check, it makes you look suspicious or desperate, and it doesn't help your case. So do not carpet bomb applications everywhere. Figure out where you're going to apply. If you've run into your decline now, take a breath, work on your cover letter, figure out what went wrong, and try to work with a payment processor that will proactively talk to you about these things. Don't just submit an application. Try and have a dialogue, find someone that you can work with to explain your business case for a better outcome. And finally, maybe, why is this finally? This should have been my first point. Did they tell you why you were declined? Sometimes payment processors won't tell a merchant why they're declined. Sometimes it could be because they're concerned that it could be a fraudster applying. It's not always in the best interest of the business, of the payment processor, to say why a merchant was declined, especially if it's something that's particularly suspicious. But in other cases, if we have merchants, like I had a cruise line one time that was doing a themed cruise with heavy metal bands and stuff. It was a really cool idea, but they didn't have enough money. If the boat didn't pull out of the port on the promised day, there was going to be a landslide of chargebacks, which, by the way, would be very unlikely. Why would that happen? But the point is, if it did, they didn't have the money to return to the cardholders. And it was a big cruise ship, and the payment processor would have been on the hook for a lot of money. And in that case, we really worked with them to try and get some investors that could put up some collateral or insurance just in case the ship did not pull out of port. So you can often find out. You should always ask why you're declined. You may or may not get an answer. And so in summary, my best advice here is to work with a payment processor like us at merchantaccounts.ca, but any payment processor will listen, you can have a relationship. What's really great if you say, hey, I have a little bit of a complicated business, could I actually have a call with the underwriter who's going to review my file because I want to tell them about my business. Some payment processors don't do that, which I think is a mistake. They should care because then you can actually tell your story and they can get to know you. Failing that, write the cover letter, describe all the things that you need to describe to paint your business in a positive light, and I wish you the best of luck. I hope this was helpful. I hope this improves your chances of getting an approval elsewhere. Thanks for watching and have a nice day there. Bye now.